Goddamn right I'm dangerous. What are you barking at, Ace? Relax, beast. Relax, relax. Welcome to the show. It is hot as fuck. I got the AC blasting. I got the fan on. I got a popsicle right here. This is a show that I like to call I'm not going to eat the whole show. I just got to eat the popsicle. It's Let's Read, fellas. We're going to be doing PlayStation Magazine, PSM. I'll tell you, time flows fast. February 2001, man. 23 years ago. You out of your goddamn mind? They got their PSM 2000 awards. See what games made the grade. They got a bunch. This is a good issue. Somebody recommended this. I forget who, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I saw the TV series Halo got canceled. I know they're saying that they're going to be trying PK to find somewhere else to put it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, members mode is off for the chat, although this will go behind a paywall for about 3 or 4 days, and then it'll go free for everybody else. But if you're here watching live and you're not a member, you could consider a membership, my dear friends, because it allows you all kinds of shit like this and war stories, and we got a new Pot and Popcorn coming up. But all the Pot and Popcorns from now on, at least for foreseeable future, are going to be video game movies, and they're also going to be edited so that I can make content out of them for about 10 minutes. So, in 2001, Jaffe had sex in Coz's office. I'm trying to think what his office. I remember in Foster City he did have an office, but no, not really. Am I not watching Hulk Hogan on the RNC? I don't give a fuck. I'm not voting for any Republican right now. So no, I don't give a fuck. But I heard that there's very strong rumor floating around that Biden's going to drop out by the weekend, which, as much as I like the fella and think he's done some good things, I think it's time. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get anybody in there that is going to make a difference, but we'll see. Oh my God, you guys. I got a video going up tonight or tomorrow. Some I Love the Weird stuff with some interesting footage in it about UFOs, UAPs and shit. I don't do as much I Love the Weird on this channel because it's a gaming channel, but every now and then I got to share this shit with you. So, we'll see. We'll see. All right. It's time to drop from G&G. What do you mean drop from G&G? I don't understand. I think, yeah, I don't want to get into politics on this, but we can talk about it later on in the Discord or wherever you want to talk about it. Fellas, this is PSM Magazine. Let's read. Last week we did an EGM. Now we're going to be looking at, and again, this is the show. You can call in if you want. I'll put the link right here if you want to offer up some of your digital memory lanes. Whatever, shut up. I've been gaming a lot today, man. I've been playing there's just so much to play, man. I just got into the Concord on PC, and I like it so much more with mouse and keyboard. So I'm playing that, playing Nobody Wants to Die, loving that, playing Almost Human. It's like 3 or 4 other fucking things that I'm fucking playing. It's cool, man. There's some good stuff out right now, and a lot of it's free. I did play Flintlock on Steam Next Fest last month. I didn't care for it all that much. I thought it was neat and it had some moments, but it really wasn't. I have, unless the world, starts raving about it, I can't imagine that I will be revisiting Flintlock. I think there's some reviews that seem to really like it. A lot of them are kind of putting it sort of middle of the road. Oh, Angerfoot. I've been playing a lot of Angerfoot since I remapped the keys. Now it's addictive. I love it. I'm playing. Man, what is going on right now? It seems like Christmas time with all the fucking games. I like Shooter, says Hawkins, with mouse and keyboard. You can't really get any better than that. Been doing that since Wolfenstein. Yeah. So, I played last week Concord beta on controller on PS5, and I liked it fine. I like it a lot more now with mouse and keyboard. I still hate the characters, but I still think the brand is wrong. I still think $40 is way too much, especially with Marvel Rivals coming out any minute now, but it's really fun. Somebody on our chat today, we were doing some game streaming this morning, said, what they should do is just make it with PlayStation characters, like PlayStation All-Stars. I thought that was a great idea. I think PlayStation, I've been wanting PlayStation to have a kart racer and or a hero shooter for a very long time. And I don't think these characters are going to, I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to endear themselves to the gaming population. And it's got nothing to do with DEI or any of that. I'm not an enemy of that. I love that stuff. I think it's important. But I just think the characters are really unimpressive. If you look at the new character that they came out with today for Blizzard for Overwatch 2, she is so much more appealing. I'll show her to you real quick if you haven't seen her. Let me. It's just that they're better fucking character designers. I don't know what to tell you, man. They're just better at it. Hang on. Overwatch 2 new character. I think her name's like Jade or something. Juno is her name. And she's super cute, and she's, they're just better at it, man. Look at this girl. Part of it is that she's not sort of suffering from the uncanny valley, whereas Concord goes for more realism. But she's just got a better fucking style, man. I didn't ban P Turtle. I told P Turtle he could call back in as long as he doesn't kind of go into that crazy shit. Look at this character, man. Right? Come on. You compare that to the Concord characters. Hello, JJD. You compare that to the Concord characters, and it's, come on. That's such a nice character design. Nothing about her is like conceptually like I've never seen anything like that. It's balanced with the colors. She's cute. Nothing, I know a lot of these companies are trying to pivot away from overtly sexual Stellar Blade. That's not anything, but she's still, clearly a woman. Not that that's, I've got no issues with non-binary characters. In fact, there's a number of LGBT characters in this game in Overwatch 2, which I think is great. But they just do it better. They always have. Jaffe ain't doing shit, says Hawkins. He likes not being involved in games anymore. Oh, if I'm going to make a kart game, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with somebody else making it. Absolutely. What do you mean eggshell walking? I'm not. Fuck you, bitch. Just tell you something. She's a great looking character. You can compare it to the Concord characters. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But whoever had that idea, I think, just pull it back in for 4 months, redo, make a bunch of PlayStation skins, and you'll be off to the fucking races. These are terrible characters. They just are. They're just dumb. They're not interesting. They're not well designed. They're just boring. The style is not there. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's really unfortunate that they went down this road, is what I think. Okay. Let us begin, my darling, delightful, delinquent friends. We are going to go back in time to look at PlayStation Magazine, February 01, issue 42. Like I said, the link's up there. And if you want to call in and share your thoughts on this episode, you are way more than welcome. I'll put it up one more time. I don't think it's DOA. I don't think Concord needs to be DOA. I think the game is really good. I think they can absolutely... A company as big as Sony and as important as Sony at this point should be able to, pull the game in like Multiverses and say, let's pivot. We know it's going to go free to play anyway. It's going to have to at some point. So let's look into that, and more importantly, let's fix this fucking IP. There's absolutely no reason that game needs that IP. It's like, I'm sorry you guys wrote it. I know you love your little movies and all that, but no. It's a good game. I don't think it would be dead on arrival. Doesn't have to be. Okay. What do you mean I'm smoking copium? That suggests I give a shit if it does well or not. I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying it's a genuinely good game from a genuinely good team that has a great pedigree in that kind of game, and Sony needs that. And so what I hope they do is they can, just like Rainbow Six Siege and just like Multiverses, although it didn't seem to help in that case, or just like Cyberpunk with CD Projekt Red, I hope that they can go, you know what? We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's something here. And let's not give up on it. I'm going to be playing it, probably streaming tonight, so you'll see a master at work. It won't be me though. Okay. Right, Jay-Z, it's got a solid foundation. It's missing the soul. I would love to know what that's about. I would love to know how that game sort of became that game, right? Like who on the team, was it somebody at Sony before they got bought? Who was guiding the creative for this thing? Yeah, Joe, right. No Man's Sky had a disastrous release, and yesterday's update was great. I played it. But yeah, who guided who was like the North Star visionary for this game? And did anybody push back on the team and they just couldn't make any change? I don't know, but somebody should have been like, hey, no, we're a great fucking shooter team. What are we doing? I would assume. Now, again, what do I know? I mean, maybe it's going to be a huge hit and we're going to see people cosplaying these characters for the next 10 years, but I don't think so at all. PSM Magazine, 100% independent. Let's get into it. Let's see what's going on in the world. So let me know if you need to zoom in, zoom out, whatever it is you need. But we're going to start with page 1, which is probably an ad. This is coming at you from Internet Archive. Wait a minute. Did I miss a page? It just jumped ahead. Internet Archive. I put a link below this video. So if you want to follow along on your own, you can click that and you can watch it as well. Emperor's New Groove. All I can tell you about this, I didn't play the game. I saw the movie. There was a time when Sony first party, there were so many fucking games that Sony first party published. There was a time when these guys were publishing Pixar games, if you remember. Like Sony PlayStation first party actually did, like, I think they did the Monsters Inc. game. I don't believe they worked on it. Like, I don't believe there was like Sony producers on it, but it did come from the Sony publishing label. I don't know if New Groove was one of those, though. It looks like not, but yeah, they put that out. That was interesting, but I never played it, so I don't know what to say about it. I know the movie went down well. People really liked the movie. I liked it. Wasn't my favorite. Here we go. These two ladies put the ass in assassin. We talked about this recently. The ads, I'm sorry, but this is what it was back then. Love it, hate it, miss it, glad it's gone. Your mileage will vary. But they are doing a remaster of at least Fear Effect 1. I really liked Fear Effect 1. I don't think I ever played the second one, but I thought it was quite good. Robbo says, going back to Concord for a moment, he says, I think part of the problem is we care too much. Games used to come out with stupid characters like Unreal Tournament, but we dealt with it because the game was just fun. Yeah, but I don't think so. I know what you're saying, but there was a style in those. Tico says he's about to bust. There was a style in the Unreal games where even though the characters were kind of comic book generic, there was still something that was plugged into the gamer zeitgeist, where it was like, look, a bunch of the audience, not all of the audience, of course, and certainly not today this way. It's changed in a great way. But back then, you could count on most of your gamers who were buying something like Unreal Tournament being male, teenage, straight, and going, this kind of heavy metal magazine vibe, which is stuff I love, was totally plugged in. And so while the characters may not be that memorable from Unreal Tournament, they do fit that time period and they do fit what that audience was consuming. But this particular game, Fear Effect 2, I mean, again, similarly, there's nothing special about either one of these characters in terms of design. But for the time, the design was, look, big tits and it's sexy. And that was enough. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. All I can tell you, I never was good at this. I never played this game that much. I know the world fucking loved this game. I just always called it Tony Hawk. And when people called it Tony Hawk's, it drove me batshit. I had a therapist once. He had I don't know, I was probably 25. And his son was 8, little kid. And he was telling me once, because we're talking about video games. And he says, my kid, man, my son, he's so into Tony Hawk's. I was like, what the fuck is Tony Hawk's? Stop saying it that way. I get it. That's how you're supposed to say it. That's the name of it. But I never called it Tony Hawk's. I called it Tony Hawk. Fear Effect, I bought this as Death Devil from the black market when I was living in Iraq. And it was banned by the old regime since it had sex and stuff. I assume if you're in Iraq, well, okay, not Iran. I don't know what the current regime is. I assume then it sounds like this would fly in current Iraq. Jaffe once punched Tony Hawk at the DICE Awards. I didn't do that, but I did get an award from Tony Hawk once. I think it was Best Game Director for the Spike TV Awards, and he gave it to me. That was kind of cool. Stephen Hawkins says, I don't know how I have a penis. I was 15 and we were getting the goddamn Playboy Channel and Hustler and shit, and I painted the goddamn walls as a kid. I'm pretty certain they had to tear the carpet up. Okay, but I don't understand when you say I don't know how I have a penis. That sounds very much like you have a penis. I mean, unless you're a squirter. I don't know, Stephen. I'm a little confused at this point. Maybe it's me. I'm sorry if it is. Even the goddamn ads for pool. Come on now. Look at that. Now, again, if you're into the men folk, that's a good looking dude right there. He looks like a model, but come on now. The ads for pool. And I like this, if you zoom in here, look at the character you play. He's like some total, derpy nerd, but it is what it is, my friends. All right, check it out. This is Start. Welcome to the world's best PlayStation magazine, they say. Do I remember the game Thrill Kill? Yeah. I played it at E3 when it was there. Stephen Frost says, thanks for streaming a read of our magazine. If past Stephen, a huge fan of God of War, would have ever known Jaffe would be streaming a read of issue in 2024, my head would explode. What'd you do on the magazine? Oh, that's you right there, you old knucklehead. Look at him, fellas. That's him right there. He's all peeking from the past at us going, hee, I'll see you in the future. Well, cool, Stephen Frost. That's awesome. Well, you should call in. Here's a link. Call in, you old so-and-so. Let's talk about making the mag. If you want to. J Lord, thank you for the super chat. He says, this is everything gaming needs to get back to, or Japan will continue dominating and walking all over American games. So what? So what? Gaming's great. It's making tons of money. There's all kinds of variety of games. This is just you want your nostalgia. You want your fucking nostalgia, baby, and I get it. It's fun to think back when innocent times and whatnot. But, damn. Listen. I smell money, says Chris Slate, the EIC of this little magazine. He says, that's right, baby, money. Well, you get the idea. Where's all the money coming from? Capcom. These guys brought us Mega Man, Street Fighter, Resident Evil. Not much has changed. And they know how to make franchises. Not much has changed. And from what I've seen, their two newest horror games, Onimusha and DMC, it looks to me like they're about to strike gold all over again. Think about that. We were heading into the Rapids where we did not know what the fuck Devil May Cry was or Onimusha was. Of course, the humble folks we speak to at Capcom aren't counting the bills yet. They have to wait and see, and hopefully the games will do well, blah, blah, blah. I ain't afraid of jinxing it. These games are money. Ka-ching, cash on the barrelhead. Maybe I'm a little carried away. I'm just so excited. Trust me. Turn over to page 56 and 60 and see why. It's true. It's true. These were classics, and I loved Onimusha. I know a lot of the hardcore loved DMC, but Onimusha was the shit. Let me tell you something briefly. Hey, there's Stephen Frost. Let's bring him in real quick. Let's see if I can do that. Hang on. There he is, Stephen Frost. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Head of production at Digital Eclipse. I like that company. That's good company. They make good stuff, man.
We try.
Yeah, you guys are the ones that just did the Atari one, and you guys got bought by Atari.
Yes.
And there's something you put out recently after the Jeff Minter collection. What was that? There was a new game you guys put out recently,
we announced Power Rangers.
That's what it was. It Way Forward's thing. Not Way Forward. The goddamn the guys who make the physical games. They had a little conference. What are those guys called?
I don't know. We announced it at Keeley's
Summer Game Fest. Let me turn your mic up real quick so you can hear.
Yeah, sorry, I might be low or something.
No, I can get it for you. Now, what are those guys called? They've been on the show before. Limited Run. Yeah, they're doing a thing with it, it sounds like. Yeah, and I've been trying to get somebody from over there on the show for a while. I've just been busy, and my buddy Adam Orth used to work over there as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he did. I worked with him a bit in the past, but it's cool. I just kind of stumbled upon it because we're trying to deliver some stuff, and I was like killing some time as I was compiling some builds, and I was like, oh my god, David Jaffe's reading our old magazines.
Oh, right? This was one of my favorites. Let me just tell you something. So
sure.
Randy Nelson, who I think is still doing stuff, right? Like he's
I saw him recently. He's actually like analyst for like mobile games and stuff now. Like
okay.
He's doing a bunch of stuff, but his main thing is like he's like a mobile games analyst.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I see those guys like Chris Slate. He's up at Nintendo up in Washington now. He's always been a big Nintendo fan, so he kind of went up there. But I kind of try to stay in touch with at least a few of those guys every so often.
Well, I always, and now I'm 53, right? So I'm the old guy. But I remember reading this, and every time I saw Bill Donahoe, whatever,
Donahue, yeah.
I never understood because he seemed like he was like 60 years old all the time. I mean, was he much older or he just looked that way?
No, he's old. I mean, he's a rocker. Like he's had the rocker life, right? So I think he's always looked like that. Sorry, Bill, but no, he was a great guy. He was a very good alternate perspective because the magazine was full of like a bunch of young guys hanging around playing games and talking shit about stuff, right? And so he was the deadline guy. So he was always he was in games, but he was the one that always reined us in and said like, hey, you guys need to like deliver your copy every month and stuff like that. So he was kind of the whip, right?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. He just always seemed like, what is this guy doing there? You know? So what do you like better now? You're making games or you were reporting on games? Which is better?
It's a little bit weird because like it's this weird sort of thing where like back then magazines were king, right? Before we transitioned to websites and print kind of went away. So it was like this war, and if you were in a magazine, it was kind of this big thing. We had our own war with like internally because we had an Xbox magazine, we had a Dreamcast magazine, so we had that war, and then we had the Ziff Davis war where like they had the official magazine, so we were playing the cool independent kind of vibe, right?
Right.
but it was fun because we got to travel so much. This is like, the whining and dining era of like the video game industry.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
I remember it was the biggest deal when people like from your industry would come out. We were just like, did they like us? Did they like us?
Yeah,
Are they going to say nice things about us? I mean, it was a big deal.
So it was cool. I mean, kid in his 20s traveling Japan, all around the world and stuff like that to talk about games. I mean, it was definitely a highlight sort of my kind of career and fun times. I mean, I love what I do now, creating the creative content and creating games and stuff like that. But there is this weird transitional phase where like, hey, you're a face in a magazine and tons of people know you. And then you go into development and you kind of disappear into the shadows a bit, right? Like you're making the product, but you're not the face of anything. Kind of anymore, right?
It's very strange that it's one of those mediums where everybody knows your work and everybody knows the characters from the work, and unless you've got a big loud mouth like I do, they have no idea who you are, but they know who the people who cover, the shit that you make. It's kind of interesting. But I will say this, one of the things I've been feeling lately, I was talking about this on this my normal show, Gabbin' and Games, I think it was yesterday we did it, but I have recently, and I don't know if it's an age thing, but I started subscribing again to the only game magazine left that prints in America, which is Game Informer. I still get that in the mailbox now, but I have recently just started to find internet gaming culture so incredibly off-putting. And not so much like, of course, my audience, because they're all wonderful human beings, but in terms though of like, the comment sections or forums or Twitter, it's so bad for me. Like I find myself getting depressed the more time I spend there, that I have been retreating back into more, bigger websites like the IGNs, the Game Informers. I get that they are kind of less, they're way more corporate, but I mean, what I loved about the magazines, and I guess it was because you had a relationship with your audience, but it wasn't that direct like it is today. Everybody, even though I know you guys were performing, you were putting on a product just like we were.
Yeah.
There was a joy to what you presented. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, was that something conscious on the part of you guys, or was that just like, well, what did we have to be upset about? We didn't have anything we printed. We didn't have 1,000 people telling us to kill ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you did that, because this was the era where I was opening up letters from people, right? People would write into the letters. So every month I'd spend like 3 days opening up letters and adding stuff to our mail section, right? So the turnaround time is completely different, but it's sort of a valid point. I mean, I think we weren't really thinking about it back then, but honestly, it was just a group of guys who just had a blast playing games and talking about it. It's almost like hanging out with your friends in a house and just, chit-chatting about what games you guys were playing and what was cool and did you see this? And I think we were able to articulate that and kind of present that in the magazine in a way that people got. And but it was very natural. We were like that. We were all geeky and nerdy and just loving games like on a day-to-day basis and doing silly stuff, and
this magazine was the closest I think we got to sort of the gaming version. If you ever read Wizard magazine,
right? Yeah, I love Wizard magazine.
It really was kind of, and you guys did the comic creators, did all the covers, which was, I mean, even this one, the one I'm looking at right now is not the collector's cover. The collector's cover is the Onimusha and DMC. Which is so much, no offense, so much better than the Rayman cover, which is like, but I don't. Was this like a Matarera? Who did this? Randy Green.
Remember.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We did Matarera a lot. Like
I know.
I still keep in touch with that guy. It was so funny because during it, as a side note, like he used to call us all the time. We'd get on the phone and he'd complain about like the comic industry and wanting to get into games.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, dude, you got to get into games at some point. And he did, right?
He did. He came into Sony Santa Monica once, and I met him, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm a huge fucking fan. He says, I'm a huge fucking fan. I'm like, but no, you're Joe Matarera. You're Battle Chasers. What are you talking about? But the grass is always greener, I suppose. What was it? I'm looking at Meet the Team. Now, was it that you guys just didn't like women and black people, or was it, what was that all about?
I don't know. Like,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. But certainly there was a lack of diversity back then. And I assume these days, maybe that would be a conscious choice. I mean, is that just kind of who was interested?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we just didn't really think about that. It was like this young publishing house, and we hired people who were excited and passionate and working and talked about that stuff. But we never, those are, I guess, the sort of group or like stereotype of people who want to be involved in this stuff was, very predictable in a certain amount, and it didn't expand until sort of a bit later. We always tried to pursue and interview as many sort of, women and other folks and from other countries, Amy Henning and folks like that, as much as we could to try to get, that coverage and stuff. And I think we tried to do that, but at that time it was really hard. The industry was not very, as broad and diverse as it is now. Right.
No, there's no doubt, both in terms of creators and players. So
exactly.
Let me ask you while I got you, because I would what a horrible opportunity to not talk to you about Digital Eclipse. So, okay, the documentary games, which you guys are becoming more and more known for, and I know that you guys just announced there's going to be a new version of the Atari 50th anniversary.
Yeah, we're doing some DLC in another physical version. Yeah.
Okay, so if I own the copy, which I do, I can DLC it, or I have to buy a new?
No. You can do the DLC for it, and it'll basically match the new physical version that's coming out. You don't get some of the tchotchkes that come with that physical release, but the content itself will mirror. It'll be mirrored. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What is it like working for Atari? I mean, I still get the fact that Atari follows me on Twitter. I understand, like, most of my audience is about 10 years. They're like one generation younger than me.
Right.
So they feel the same about the NES and whatnot. But for me, that period of the 70s and early 80s was just magic, and the box art, and I
beautiful box art.
And there's a beautiful book I have about the art of Atari. I'm sure you guys have it that you've seen with, But I wonder, I mean, when they came in and bought you guys, I mean, are you going to be doing a lot more with those guys? Or, I mean, is it, I wasn't prepared to talk to you, but I have to ask, because it's like, there's the nostalgia play aspect that I get.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm a guy who I love the single screen games you guys make. There's like the Halloween one I like. There's the Alien Buffet one is great. And there's this little sub genre that you can find mostly on Steam of people who are kind of making arcade games, like single screen or multi-screen, but still kind of like Donkey Kong one screen at a time games. I mean, is that something in y'all's focus, or is it like, those days are over, it's fun to sort of do nostalgia drops, but that's not really what we're gonna, we're not gonna make originals anymore or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think we still have a lot of opportunity, because Atari has been purchasing up a lot of different IPs, classic IPs. Most recently, the Intellivision stuff, it's all in under one house now. So I think it's more about like what makes sense to do. Are we adverse to that stuff? No, I mean, we love still doing like sort of reimagined versions of games and including it in our collections and things like that. So I think you'll continue to see that stuff moving forward. We have a variety of people here who just love doing those simple arcade games, like the ones you were talking about, right? That we released on Steam and stuff like that. So there's always going to be, I think, a place for that. We normally do those kind of projects in between bigger projects, just to like fill in the time. But no, I still think if it makes sense and we can match it with an IP that sort of makes sense, or even an original game, right? If we have a cool idea for like a Christmas game or something like that, there's nothing preventing us from doing that for sure.
Is PlayStation 2 new, or would they not be who you like? Would they do it themselves, or have you thought about getting into SNES era, NES era, or is it like, but it's Nintendo, they don't need us, they don't want us, like?
Yeah, I mean, that's always kind of tough, right? It's obviously our dream would be like to do kind of the Atari 50 thing, but with Nintendo, right? Like or like another company like a Sony or even a Microsoft or something like that. That would be phenomenal. So we hope that people see the value of what we're trying to do, and there's more recognition, and then people can come to us and say like, hey, we saw what you did here, right? We saw what you did with Jordan Mechner in the making of Karateka, or like Mamasoft, right? And we want that treatment for us, right? And so we're in the early sort of stages and stuff like that. But that's my hope, because we want to preserve that stuff. We want to be able to tell those stories. Obviously, working with Nintendo is always a challenge, right? From the perspective that they're very secretive and they're very protective and things like that. But hopefully people see the value of being able to share these stories, having this history on a disc that's on your shelf, or a cartridge that's on your shelf that you can pull out and reminisce about. Like you pull off an old book, right? An old like Art of Atari book or some other book from the past, and you want to reminisce through it. There's value there for that, and hopefully people get that.
Two more quick questions. I'll let you go. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys just put out Wizardry, the Wizardry
Yes.
HD, which Wizardry changed my life when I was a kid. Is that something like, do you guys look at the sales for that and go, hey, it's doing okay? Or is that one of those things that, like, are you surprised when something does well or poor? Like, I looked at Jeff Minter thing and I'm like, I can't imagine that's going to do well because Minter stuff is always so culty.
Yeah.
But maybe it was huge. Like, I mean, what's the logic when you say, let's take on that, but not this?
Right. Yeah, it's a bit tough. Sometimes it's personal, like we have in a personal attachment, like the karateka and like, or how you want to say it correctly, right? But the growing up with these developers or these games have an intrinsic like sort of they're part of us, right? We feel that they're important in how they establish the games industry and how things are. So part of it is sort of a personal thing and what sort of makes sense. And so, which is why we pursue people like Jeff Minter and things like that, right? Do we know that do we imagine that it's going to sell 10 million copies? Probably not, right? It's sort of a very specific sort of clientele. But we feel it's important enough to tell that story. And I think you'll see that balanced out with like bigger releases versus smaller releases. And I think we'll continue to do that throughout the Gold Master Series. The Wizardry stuff, I think it's one of those things where, we loved Wizardry. We grew up similar to you, right? It had an impact on our lives. We see that there hasn't been sort of a resurgence or a re-release of kind of like this in a long time. And there's this hunger and this interest in Japan, especially for Wizardry. It's huge.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Wizardry is a big deal in Japan.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's the craziest thing.
So we felt that like, hey, if we can sort of scratch that itch of people who are kind of wanting to go back to this kind of style, this traditional sense of RPG, and then do sort of our little trick, which is like take the Apple version and sort of reskin it so it's accurate to the original game, right? And maybe that's the start of something, where we introduce people to this franchise again, and it kind of goes from there. That's our hope, right? So hopefully, in the future, if things continue, then maybe you'll see the next one and the next one, right?
That would be great. That would be great. Last question I have: what about canceled games? There's so many great canceled games that are playable.
Yeah.
I want you guys to do that. That's my pitch to you, Frost. Go make it happen, Parker.
I love to do that. We try to do that sometimes, including prototypes and unfinished stuff and things like that, right? Yeah. It's always a little bit of a work too, because you have to go in and fix it. You can't have it crash on a PS5.
Oh, no, you've got to make it work.
Yeah. But we love that stuff and we dig it up. So yeah, we continue to investigate that stuff and would love to include in future stuff whenever we can get our hands on it, stuff that is prototypey or never got released. That excites us, right? Seeing stuff that are discovering it excites us for sure.
Well, I got a handful of them, so give me a call if somebody lets you. But listen, thank you, man. And I what a neat thing for you to come by, not only because of this, but what you do now. Given my age, it's the coolest thing that there's a video game company I can fanboy over because I worked at a lot of them, or I worked with a lot of them. And so it's like, whatever, who gives a shit? It's Sony. It's But I'm like Atari and you guys who still have your foot in that world. It's really cool for me to talk to you. So I appreciate it. And thanks for calling in, buddy.
Yeah, take care. Have fun and enjoy the rest of the week.
We will. All right. See you, man. Bye. There he goes, fellas. Stephen Frost. Wasn't that neat? What a nice little surprise. I like that guy. I like that fella. I like the cut of his jib. Somebody go look up what the fuck a jib is and what that means. Let me get some of these super chats. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. We have, where'd it go? We have Jay Lord is dropping the ducats. He says, thank you, buddy. He says, I just want more normal games. It's not about nostalgia, and Asia is the only source of normal AAA games. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. They're the source of normal AAA games. That's a very subjective, strange thing to say. Could you reiterate or maybe elaborate? Sorry. I mean, not every anti-woke, but modern Western character designs turn me off. Okay, but is that because of what you perceive as wokeness, or is that is Lara Croft a turn off? Is Kratos a turn off? Is Jin Sakai, even though I know he's a Japanese character, he was designed in America. What do you mean by that? And then finally he says, developers have done it to themselves. The discourse, he's talking about when I was talking to Frost about just how mean the discourse is. He says, devs have done it to themselves. The discourse would not be negative if they gave gamers what they want. Simple, give us what you used to give us. Yeah, but they don't work for you. I mean, that's the thing you have to understand is there are companies that can give you what you want, and you should fund those companies. You should spend your money on those companies. But companies change and people come and go, and they don't owe you anything other than the product they're selling you, and it needs to work and it needs to be good. And if it turns out that you feel they've let you down, then you should stop supporting them. But to be angry, it would be like me being angry at Steven Spielberg because he stopped making kind of escapist movies and started making stuff like, Munich and Schindler's List and Private Ryan. Those are all great films, and I actually love all of those films. But I wish he would make those movies that are escapist. But I can't get mad at the guy. He's like, you have to give me what I want. I'm like, he's not a short order cook. Neither is PlayStation. They're artists, man. I mean, they gotta keep a foot in the business, of course, to make sure they're not wasting their money. Salvador says, Jaffe, there's reports of new God of War Egypt is going to be a prequel to the Norse era. Cool. I definitely think they should go to Egypt, and I would love for there to be a prequel because, it means they're out of ideas. They don't know where to take it because they wrote themselves into a fucking corner with Ragnarok. I told you. What are you going to do with it at this point? But that's fine, though. There's still plenty of great adventures, and I think that's wonderful. Tyler says, yes, Asian countries make normal games. I think that guy needs to look at that Japanese game where you put a finger in someone's butt. Yeah, that's true. There's that game that was an arcade game where you stuck your finger in a little butthole. All right, let's move on, shall we? That was cool. Stephen Frost, folks. All right, let's see what else was happening in 2001 back in the day. Spyro the Dragon. I know a lot of people. Let me tell you something for a moment. A lot of people loved the PlayStation ads, and they were very funny. I didn't say it was normal, the putting your finger in somebody's butthole. That's what he was saying. I wasn't saying that. And I liked some of the comedic ads, and I guess for Spyro it makes sense, but it was like they got into this riff where everything had to be wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Isn't that funny? And I guess it worked because the audience was like, it's like, haha, that's edgy. I don't fucking know. But sometimes there were these brands, and I was just like, don't make the brands silly. It's kind of like when they do trophy names these days, right? Where it's just like every trophy name's got to be a joke. And I'm kind of like, I'm like, there's sometimes where, you're playing a very serious fucking game. And it's like, the trophy pops, and it's like, that's what she said. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Are you a fan of these Spyro games? Absolutely. And I love the remasters too. Okay. Let's move forward. Here we go. Table of contents, whatever. We don't need your goddamn table of contents. We will discover it as we go. But look at that. That's a beautiful image, though. That really is. I love that art style. Okay. Oh, God. The Army Men franchise. Let it die. Jaffe, it's been dead for a while. I know. But I'm just saying, my God, Trip Hawkins would not shut the fuck up with this thing. It's like, we get it. You had yourself a little hit. Now stop. You just ran it into the fucking ground with this bullshit. That's not Joe Mad, by the way. It looks like Joe Madureira, but it's not. This is I think his last name is Green. I'll tell you right now. His last name is Randy Green. Randy Green. He worked on Witchblade. Remember Witchblade? I think they're still doing that comic. Okay. Look at that. Lara Croft. There she goes. Now, we were talking about this earlier on the stream today because Twisters is out this weekend. And Twister was directed by Jan de Bont, who also made one of the best action films of all time, Speed. But he also made the first Twister, which I thought was okay. But the point is, he also directed this motion picture, which I got to tell you, this is a pretty big letdown for me. I did not think this was a good movie. I saw it in the theater. I was kind of like, it's okay, and never decided to go back and see it. I don't think this has aged well. I don't think people have been like, man, that was a good movie. I'd like to see the new one, though, with whatever that lady's name. I don't know the new one. I haven't seen it. Jaffe, do you buy these comics? Which ones? I now subscribe to DC and Marvel, whatever they're like, Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe or whatever. So I get kind of the Netflix of comics, but I don't buy them because I just like to read them. I don't have any interest in collecting them anymore. I have tons in the closet right now that I just are gathering dust. I need to put them all in bags and shit. So is there a website that chronicles all these old magazines? I'm confused. Thought you had old issues. No. There are a number, but I'm actually, if you go to the about this video below this stream, you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube anyway, you will see the link to Internet Archive, which is where I'm getting this one from. Okay. Okay. What are we seeing? This comes out in June, so this was about a little less than a year away. Tomb Raider PlayStation 2 latest screens. It was shown this year at ECTS, which was European Consumer Trade Show in London. That Eidos first showed conceptual footage of the first Tomb Raider game on PS2. Man, I remember, if you remember those days, if you were gaming back then, it was just like we didn't have a lot of experience with going from PS1 to 2. Like it wasn't a thing. You had NES to SNES, but this was like, if you go back and look at the graphics from 1 to 2, that was a big fucking jump of graphical quality. Because this was the generation for, we had Twist Metal Black, and God of War, and Devil May Cry, and Ico, and Onimusha, and Lara Croft, and Solid Snake, at least the second Solid Snake. It's kind of crazy. And looking at these pictures, they're so small, it's hard to tell, how much of these were bullshit or not. But let's see if we can zoom in and get a good resolution on them. Yeah, it's still impressive. That's still pretty fucking impressive, man. Film Gamer says, hey, Jaffe, should I start recollecting the original PlayStation magazine in OXM with all the demos? I'm considering it. Really enjoying the gaming magazine reads. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, Film Gamer. I don't know. I mean, I don't do a lot of collecting, so it wouldn't be for me to say. I don't know. I wish they would sell these old magazines digitally, says Blake. A lot of my favorite mags aren't available. There's a couple of different places you can find them on the internet. And I always, I'm glad Frost wrote in. I mean, I know that he's not the guy that would say, but like I was trying to figure out who still owns the rights, because I would hate, for somebody who's like, dude, we have the rights to these magazines. You shouldn't do that. But I've seen a lot of other people do it online. So until they tell me not to, I'll keep doing it. But Metal Gear Solid 2, we've seen it played. Playable demo confirmed for the US. This was back in the day where you had to wait for the magazine to hear if you had a playable demo. Like now you'd know in 5 minutes on Twitter. But back then it was like you may take a month before you knew. In the demo, Snake is assisted over his codec by Otacon. There are a variety of weapons and items to try out, plus many of the new gameplay mechanics, such as hiding bodies out of view, the first-person view, and a cool analog method for shooting around corners. I don't remember that. Recently, Kojima has also revealed the game runs in a higher resolution than was shown at E3. It was hard to make this on the projection screen, but it will certainly go a long way to make this outstanding game look even better. My goodness gracious. John Garvin was on the show a couple weeks ago talking about the Siphon Filter team, seeing the trailer for this and just going, oh my fucking God, man. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. Because it was a beautiful trailer. Didn't it open with Snake running through the traffic in the rain and shit? Oh, it was awesome. Fucking awesome. What else do we got? I'm not going to read every story. If you guys see one you want me to shout out, I will, but they might be giants. Oh, Giant Citizen Kabuto. So this was 2000. Okay, so I was already back I believe we were already back in LA at this point. Thank God, you guys, I got to tell you, working at Sony in Foster City was probably in 53 years, that little chunk of time was probably the worst part of my life. Like there was a period from when I was 25 to 28, maybe, where it was just, I hated being up there. Things were not going well in my career. It was just like emotional poison. If you believe in, not to say that Sony it was a wonderful group of people, but if you believe in things like feng shui or whatever, it's like there was just something about my soul being in that particular location that just made me fundamentally sad. And God, it was so great to get back to Los Angeles. It was just the best, the fucking best, man. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Ape Escape 2. I know a lot of people love that game. I never understood the appeal of that fucking game. Yeah, Symphony of the Night was on PlayStation 1, Blake. It was. But are you saying this story is suggesting... this is talking about a different one. It's a remake of Akumajo Dracula. I don't... and will evidently be enhanced enough that the new character designer, somebody Kojima who worked on Symphony of the Night, is being brought on the project. So this is not Symphony of the Night. This is Akuminjo Dracula or something. I don't know much about it. Okay. Okay. Half-Life coming to PS2. Isn't that crazy? Oh, so weird. What you should be playing, they want you to know. Rayman Revolution. There are enough differences to warrant a playthrough on PS2. Lunar 2 Blue, old school RPGs. Isn't that funny? They were talking old school back then. Breath of Fire 4, of course. And then number 4 is a game that it is excellent. I should dig this up on an emulator. Moto Racer Tour is I think they had street bikes, but they definitely had dirt bikes. And it was one of the best arcade motorcycle racers I have ever fucking played. It was so much fun. The jumps and the physics just felt excellent. Just fucking excellent. All right, let's see. Nightmare Creatures, the movie? I don't think so. Did that ever come out? The film's developed by Le Studio Canal and will be directed by the guy who made Disney Dinosaur and Raised by Ghosts, which I don't know if that ever came out. It's being written by the guy who wrote Paid in Full, Hellhole, and Total Recall 2. That game never came out. Okay. Game Otaku, Japanese retail. Here's what was at the top of the charts in the goddamn Japan. Number 10, Gun Parade March. What? Number 9, this is back when every fucking game, even if it wasn't the PlayStation sales charts, it was like everything was PlayStation. Nobody else could even get breathing room. If you were Nintendo or Sega, there was no place for you there. Simple 1500 series volume 46 was number 9. That's clearly has been made and named by the guy who works for Square now, coming up with names like Triangle Strategy. Yamasa DigiGuide was 8. 7, World Soccer winning 11. 6 was called Sky Restaurant. 5, The Brilliant Silent Scope, although playing that with controller, I don't know what the point is. 4, Smash Court 3. 3, 100 times Hunter. 2, of course, Dragon Quest 7. And number 1, Fist of the North Star. Okay. Nightmare Creatures never got a movie, but the game will forever be badass, says Necro. I'm trying to remember the game, actually. It was kind of... Bloodborne-ian, right? A little bit it was. Smuggler's Run. That was a launch title. That was a good game. I don't know if it holds up. And where the fuck is Contraband, by the way? When is that fucking thing coming out, man? But look at that. Rockstar Smuggler's Run. This was a launch title along with Midnight Club, I think, if I remember correctly. But this was cool. I remember seeing these graphics, like you look at it now and you're like, what are you talking about, Jaffe? I know, I understand. But you have to understand, back then, you look at graphics like that, like all the mountains and snow and shit. I mean, we had never seen anything like this. It was just like, what are you talking about? That's real. The fuck are you talking about? That's real. Insane. Fucking insane. All right, let's move forward. Let's continue perusing the zine. I call it a zine because I'm cool. Project Eden. I vaguely remember this, but it looks pretty fucking generic. Did I ever play this? Project Eden from Eidos. PSM 10 2000. Here we go. These are their top 10 games. Top 10 games, my dear delightful friends, of the year. Okay? Okay. Of the year 2000. Number 10, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. was their number 10th game of the year. I get it. Look at this beautiful art. My goodness gracious. What the fuck is happening in this world? Who did this art? It's gorgeous. Number 9, Roll Cage Stage 2. That's a blast from the past. That was the racing game where you could ride up on the walls and shit. Oh, wait, I'm thinking of Connecticut. Oh, no, I'm thinking of this. I remember this. This is a good game. Midway published that. Tekken Tag Tournament, number 8. Number 7, of course, Spyro Year of the Dragon. Wait, which one was Year of the Dragon? Number 3? Because if this was number 1, it'd be at the top of the charts. But this, I think this was 3. Breath of Fire 4 was the number 6 video game for PSM Magazine in 2000. Number 5, The Legend of Dragoon, which a lot of people want to remake. I have never played it in my whole life. Maybe I should. It says 2000 was a great year for RPGs, and this list shows it. We first heard Sony's own dev group had secretly been making a Final Fantasy level RPG. We were excited. Excited but concerned. Could anybody outside of Square pull it off? Well, not only did Sony make one hell of an RPG with a great story and top-notch viz, in the biz we called them viz, you call them visuals, but it also added some cool features that FF doesn't have. We can't wait for the sequel. I don't know if there was ever a sequel. Our favorite moments when you first realize you've actually got to participate in the combat. Such a simple thing, but since most turn-based stick to the old back and forth, it makes the game stand out. Cool. All right. Yeah, I never played it. Maybe I should, though. You know what I started playing was Ghost Hunter recently on from PS2. That game's a lot of fun. DOA Hardcore, number 4. I get it. Nostalgia's great, man. I know. I get it. I mean, God. You got to just kind of accept that a lot of things you say you love them for reasons that have nothing to do with the products necessarily. It's just nostalgia. It doesn't mean the products weren't great. But hell, I barely played DOA 2 Hardcore, and I'm nostalgic for this fucking thing. Madden NFL 2001. Final Fantasy 9. That's cool. I liked these little characters. I never finished it, though. Legend of Dragoon was never localized, so the story didn't work for me. Well, what do you mean it wasn't localized? Didn't it come out over here? Didn't that come out? Legend of Dragoon came out over here. It had to have been localized. What do you mean? There was a game I wrote some dialogue for. Seth Louisi was producing, was it called Wild Arms or something? There was kind of a Western-ish RPG on PS1. And he asked me one day, I was walking by his office, and he said, yeah, I need something in this translation for the character to act like they're going crazy. And I just said, oh, let me just do a bunch of weird stream of consciousness stuff. I don't know if it ever got into the game, but it was certainly in the script. Yeah, K-Nubs is interesting. You say that. Wild Arms, right. I have thoughts, he says, about turn-based combat. I feel like turn-based and strategy games will be what my 80-year-old ass plays when my arthritis is too bad. It ain't a joke, folks. At 53, I mean, I still like the action games, but I'm not going to lie. It's nice to play core games that, you know, are like Unicorn Overlord, because I can actually, you know, my mind is just as sharp, hopefully sharper, but my reflexes are not. So I'm, you know, that's what I think has happened to me for sure. The number one game, SSX, you goddamn right. SSX Tricky came out the next year on the same day, I think, as Twisted Metal Black. I was so pissed. Or maybe it was, what was their basketball street game? That's what came out the same day. But SSX Tricky. There's a lot of great games this year. When it comes to the top spot, it's no contest. SSX was the game that gave us an early taste of what the PS2 was capable of. Amazing graphics, lightning fast action, some of the best goddamn design levels we've ever seen. For us, what edged this game past Madden and Final Fantasy was its freshness and originality. Sure, we've seen snowboarding before, you son of a bitch, but like this? Never. Go fuck yourself. I was the editor-in-chief for a while. They fired me for some reason. Plus, we didn't have any expectations of the game, so the surprise made it even greater. Great job, EA. Now get the sequel rolling. Yeah, absolutely. NBA Streets, that's what it was. Came out the same goddamn day. SSX, good stuff. There's a new game somebody's making. I played the demo. It's clearly inspired by SSX. Doesn't play anywhere near as good, though. Overall, Dreamcast had the best games that year. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing. Is like when you look at this, what were the systems out, right? Obviously, PS2, N64, and Dreamcast. Xbox had not come out yet, correct? So is every one of these was exclusive? Madden obviously wasn't. Final Fantasy was. Dragoon was. DOA probably wasn't. Roll Cage probably wasn't. Tekken was. Spyro was. Breath of Fire was. Tony Hawk was not. That was on Dreamcast. So there was a lot. There was a lot, that were exclusives back then, which was part of the fun as well. Shirley says, Tatum, NBA Street didn't hurt Twisted Sales. No, I know, but I wanted us to premiere at number 1, and we didn't. Look at that. Dino Crisis 2. God, everybody wants a sequel. And Capcom knows everybody wants a sequel. You know they're making one. They're not morons. Dinosaurs are big. The remakes are big. Where is this fucking remake? Can you imagine them remaking this in the goddamn way? Thank you, Adam. I appreciate this. Don't worry, Jaffe. I bought Twisted Metal. Appreciate it. Can you imagine them making this in the vein of RE2 remake? Come on now. You know they're doing it. They have to. What is this? Chevy Trucks. What is this game? What is it? Oh, Championship Motocross starring Ricky Carmichael. Okay. That looks like his dick. And that looks like his testicles. What the fuck kind of pornography are we looking at here, boys? Look at that. That looks like this is Zone of the Enders, but that's a cock and balls right there, my friends. What the fuck? Filthy. Filthy. I loved Onimusha. I did play the HD version recently that was on Steam, and I really enjoyed it. And then I got to this one part where you split between him and the girl, and there was this puzzle that seemed totally random, and I just was like, fuck this, I'm done. I don't remember that puzzle. So either I couldn't figure it out, or it literally was just random, and they had to have you go back really far. And I was like, go fuck yourself. But Onimusha was the shit. I remember seeing the trailer of Onimusha at the first TGS when they announced PS2, or I think it was TGS. And it was like insane. I think it was the spike track puzzle in Onimusha. And I was just like, what the fuck? Maybe I just need to figure it out. Maybe it's logical. I don't know. Jaffe, do you think Flintlock is just a bad game or a bad woke game? I don't think it's a bad game at all. I think the only thing that's bad about it is it's pretty generic and solid, but there's too much stuff right now that is better. That's its biggest fault. I don't get the sense that it's woke, but I only played the demo, so, and I don't have a problem with woke, so that wouldn't bother me anyway. These old magazine stream reads might be my favorite stream idea ever, says Ellie Bird. Hello, Ellie Birdie. Well, thank you. I like doing them. They're fun. And it's fun to kind of, I don't know what the audience is. Like, I try to find ones that most of the audience would remember. Like the very first video game magazine I read, most people who watch this would be like, what is that? Never even heard about it. Throne and Liberty's out today, actually, but I've struggled to get it working, although I think it was somebody on the chat in the Discord was saying that they played it today, and it's really, really good. That's why I don't worry, says K-Nubs, about new games. They've been making games forever, and as long as you come into it with a frame of reference, you can get enjoyment from it. Right. Okay. Let's keep going, shall we? DMC, come on now. Capcom's freshest title to hit since Resident Evil. I played this at E3. Man, we walked away just going, what the fuck have we just seen? And it's amazing, too. Here's what's weird, though. Onimusha. So PS2 came out in America in 2000. I thought this was a launch game, but it clearly wasn't. But I thought there was a lot of time between Onimusha and DMC, but maybe they came out in the same year? That seems wrong, though. This is only 10% complete, and Onimusha was 80%. So yeah, this probably came out in a year apart at least, is what I would imagine. Okay. Victor Lucas has all the old footage from first E3s and interviews. Oh, I know. He's rerunning Electric Playgrounds every Saturday at 9 a.m. Actually, it's pretty cool. And then, yeah, the fact that they didn't even know what this would become. I mean, this is Dante's father was a demon. He has many special powers. He can easily scale walls, make super jumps, even transform into a winged creature, which kind of resembles Tekken's devil Kazuya. Dante's evil half will surely endow him with powerful attacks. Sorry, my dog's making me allergic. But so far, Capcom hasn't released any details. Yeah, this was the shit. Look, there is no God of War without this game, and there is no God of War without Onimusha. We absolutely cheated off their paper, along with like Atari's Adventure and everything else. Okay. Like even this, and I get it. Look, I'm progressive. You know what I am. Brakes are for sissies. Come on now. That wouldn't fly today. And it shouldn't. It's mean. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. I'm a nice guy. You're not. Who gives a shit? Just own it. Just own how nice I am. Come on now. Time Crisis. That's some good shit. Oni. Remember this from Bungie? This was okay. This was clearly inspired by their love of anime and whatnot, but I never felt the game really delivered on that level. Okay, so Gun says Onimusha and DMC were released in 2001, 7 months apart. Okay. And the PS2 was released what? Like September 2000? Isn't that right? Oh my God, ATV Off-Road Fury, man. Yeah. One of our producers at Sony was the producer on this. A couple of them were actually. These were fun. I really liked these games a lot. Yeah, that was good stuff. They did about 3 or 4 of them. And then they just kind of stopped. So, another Army Men game. Thank God. Breath of Fire. This was great. I had one of the, what was the Breath of Fire? Was it 3 on the SNES? Had that great ad, the 2-page spread with like the warrior and the sword and his hand was out in the foreground. Totally different art style than this though. Oh my God, Danger Girl. I love Danger Girl so much. Speaking of Joe Madureira, it's not him, it's J. Scott Campbell, but they were part of that little group. This should have been the most massive fucking brand of the 90s. And I don't know if it was their distribution of the comics. I couldn't tell you. But my goodness gracious, it was James Bond with hot chicks. That's basically what it was if you never read it. And the comics still hold up. Go get a graphic novel. Just fucking cool, man. Really good stuff. And there was this game. I think I may have spoken because I was going to Sony going, we should get the rights to Danger Girl. And I want to say maybe the developer, who were these developers down in Florida, I forget what they were called, were making it. And I had a couple of phone conversations with them, but I didn't, never went anywhere. And I don't think the game was very good that they ended up making. But man, what a brand. Yeah, it's Charlie's Angels, Adam, but it's a lot sexier and a lot more over the top. And it's just great. J. Scott Campbell draws great women, draws great stunts. Really, it was like Indiana Jones meets James Bond with hot chicks. It was good stuff. Did I get rid of all the things from my office at PlayStation? Probably, PK. I don't know if I have any left. All right. Knockout Kings, never played. People liked it, though. Legend of Excalibur. I remember that, but I don't know what the fuck it is. Zone of the Enders. Are these reviews now? Here's Kojima's. Did he design this or just produce it? I don't know. I know they released an HD version of this a while back. I never really played it, though. I thought it was just a very strange, controllable experience. It just wasn't for me, but I know a lot of people love it. It's a good cult hit. Adventures of Cookie and Cream. Yeah, that was fun. I remember that. I played that on the SNES, actually, before this. What did they charge? Back then, if you wanted 12 issues, it would get you... You only had to pay $10 to subscribe to this magazine. $10 for 12 issues, 83 cents an issue. Think about that. Gen 13 was good too. What was the weird Pamela Anderson spy game on PS1? I don't remember that, actually. I know she had like a Stripperella character, but I didn't know there was a game. Barbed Wire, maybe, yeah. Hunter of Hinterberg is out on Game Pass and GeForce. Is it a game you would play? I played the demo. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't for me. It was cool and it had some neat moments, but I didn't really, care much about it. Gran Turismo 3. Look at that. That was the top of the food chain back then, baby. I was never good at it. I like more of this Midnight Club shit. Was it called VIP? Okay. MDK2. Here's trivia for you. At least the first game I know of with a sniper rifle was MDK1. That was like their big claim to fame, and it was their big marketing beat was, hey, look at a sniper rifle. There has to have been a game before it, but I sure as fuck don't remember it. Look at that. That is one of the most underrated games of the PlayStation era, or the PS2 era, is Sky Odyssey from Activision. Let me see. Oh, no, come back. Come on now. Here we go. Oh, this game is so good. So fucking good. Jaffe, was it all right to steal nude comics at a younger age for discovering the woman's body? I don't think you should ever steal, but, I don't know what your situation was. GoldenEye must have had a sniper. Yeah, but was GoldenEye before or was GoldenEye after MDK? What year was GoldenEye? GoldenEye was 97, right? So I don't know why they thought the sniper rifle was all that worth writing about. I don't know. But they did. It was all over the place. Okay. This is just strategy stuff. What am I going to do? Go through this? Fuck you. Yeah. Legacy of Kain back in the day. Nobody knew. Nobody knew how influential some of this shit's going to be. Everybody was swinging for the fences. Nobody knew who was going to get the hit. Is that Tina Turner? Nope. That's just the girl from Final Fantasy. Code Surfing H30. Never played it. Always assumed a surfing game would be big, but never really broke through, did it? Let us to the editor. Let's see what people are talking about. But I'll stop reading if I get bored, so just be aware. These are all boring so far. No offense, Frost. Here we go. When can we expect to play PS2 online using broadband? I've tried Dreamcast and their online play just isn't cutting it for me. Also, is there any chance Metal Gear 2 will have online play? Number 2, I've noticed when a new system comes out, all the major sports titles make the switch in the first year except college games. Why? MGS2 may have some online elements, says Chris. The developers have some ideas, but they're waiting to hear when Sony will take PS2 online. There you go. I recently bought a PS2, and one of the main reasons was the DVD player. I have played several DVDs, and I think it's awesome. My question is, how reliable is a DVD player? Chris says, DVD player's fine. You can get better players out there. Yeah, but fuck you. They're much more expensive. The PS2 player is by no means a real low-level unit. Unless you're a real fucking snob, you son of a bitch. Why don't you just fucking abort yourself? You probably won't even be able to tell the difference, you stupid fuck. God, this magazine had balls back in the day. Here was their letter of the month. Hey, look, PSM, I just want to know if you can tell me something about Xbox. Namely, does Sony go home worried at night knowing that its system will soon be inferior? Oh, see, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Back in the day, you had one jackass like this that you had to put up with. So it's kind of like, all right, you're flying on a plane and one guy's sick. Maybe you'll get sick too. Now, this is 95% of the fucking comments. This is why it's miserable. I miss the magazines. Not that Sony actually goes home because Sony's a company. But anyway, he says, continues, so what about it? Is Munch's disappearance from the PS2 lineup and subsequent announcement that the Xbox foreshadowing the future of Sony's system? Or did the developers behind Munch's just throw some kind of, we can't do it, this system is stupid, hissy fit? I'll buy a PS2 and then an Xbox if it's that much better, but I'm a very loyal guy. I need stability, you know? Yeah, you sound real stable. I would like to follow a champion like PS2 until the end. The only question is, when will that be? Jesus Christ. Settle, idiot. Chris says, don't worry, John. He has an email. We should write him. We should see if it still works. I'm going to write this guy. PS2 isn't going anywhere but up. Xbox is still largely a mystery, and so far, Munch's Odyssey is the only big-name exclusive that's been announced. It's just too early to say how well it'll do since Microsoft's keeping its plan and software a secret. Meanwhile, PS2 is steamrolling along, breaking sales records, breaking hearts, and putting out a very solid initial lineup of games and getting at least 3 chicks pregnant in every town it goes to, and putting out a very solid lineup of initial games, which I already said. I'm all for Xbox if the guys at Microsoft can bring a bunch of cool new games to the industry, just not port overs. We'll see. We'll see. If publishers actually use the adults-only rating, here's what our PS2 lineup would look like. These are games they want to see. This is, you know good and well that these days are long gone. Samurai Hoedown. 9, Metal Rear Solid. 8, Lace Combat. 7, Parasite Sleaze. 6, Spyro the Drag Queen. Come on, you guys. 5, Super Strip Fighter Turbo. 2 Turbo. 4 is Rear Effect. 3 is Final Fantasy. 2 is Crash Bondage Coot. And 1 is Zone of the Rear Enders. So, you know, it was a different time. I understand it's not like that anymore. You could even link up with people down here. It's kind of like, I play games. Oh, his favorite game is Twisted Metal 2. I'm going to write this guy. PSM kicks ass at netzero.net. I'm going to write him right now. Hang on. No, I'll do it later. I'm tired. But I will write him. Okay. What is this? Faceless and Fearless. Oh, it's another fucking Army Men game. Jesus, you guys. Look at that. Come on now. I had to touch them with the mouse. I had to touch them. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's just tech questions. I don't give a fuck about that. Look at the envelope art. Oh my God, these are scary. What the fuck is happening over here with Chun-Li? Hang on a minute. There's Chun-Li and what is this? These look like little street urchins from Dickens novels. What is this? Chrono Cross, that's pretty good. Look at this. Rob Riley. Let's look up Rob Riley. Let's see if maybe any of these guys went on to be a real fucking artist. This guy has some potential. I'm going to look him up over here. 1 second. Rob Riley, artist. Hey, look at this. He's I guess this might be him. Maybe? Hang on. I'll bring it over there. Is this him? Although he was drawing and cartooning at an early age, he has no training. Where did he grow up? Nashville. It probably doesn't say where it came from. I wonder if that's the Rob Riley. Isn't that cool? You never know, man. You never fucking know. No, I will not try Dungeons of Hinterberg. I've already played it. I played the demo. It was not for me. Reset. Issue's over. Next month they're saying they're going to play GT3 and Dark Cloud and Bouncer. Oh my God, remember the Bouncer? They'll see more of Klonoa 2. Bill Donahue promises revenge on Chris Slate. And 3 years ago, Resident Evil 2 is what they were talking about. Look at that. Codebreaker. Is that a shark blowing up? Look at that. Onimusha, baby. That's the stuff. Made with love by Retro Mags. Our goal is to preserve classic video game magazines so they're not lost permanently. People interested in helping out in any capacity, please visit us at retromags.com. There's a place to go other than Internet Archive. No profit is made from these scans, nor do we offer anything available from the publishers. If you come across anyone selling releases from this site, please do not support them and do let us know. Okay. So there you go. That was our second read through of old school magazines. Like I said, if you want to let me know which one you want to do next week, I think we'll probably, I don't know if we'll go further back in time to SNES days, or if we will go closer to like maybe PS4. We'll see. But let me know what you guys want in the Discord. In the meantime, I appreciate, if you didn't see it, one of the editors, Frost, is it Stephen Frost, called in. We had a little conversation. He was an editor on this very magazine. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate that. And I will be putting up another video tonight, maybe I'll be streaming some Concord later tonight. But I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock, per usual, with a proper Gabbin' and Games, where we talk about the news of the day in the world of the video games. You can find me on Twitter. Consider a subscription to this here channel. Consider liking it. Consider sharing it. A membership. We have memberships over on Patreon if you like the podcast more than the live on the YouTube. It's all good. But regardless, thank you. Playboy Magazine's a choice. It would be if it wasn't for the the issues with the YouTube. Yeah, we might watch Cobra Kai tonight. Absolutely, that's the plan. But we don't really start till about 8. It's only 6:30 here. So, all right, my friend. This is what the stroke is like. Be well, be safe. Thanks for hanging out with me, talking games. I will see you guys soon. I really do appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Bye. 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 Where's this go? Come on now. There it is.